Well, pretty much since the day I dropped this video about 6 or 7 months ago, I've been getting non-stop questions about this keyboard. How long has it been since I'm using it, and is it even durable? Like, is it even worth getting after several months of using it? So I thought, since I've been using it continuously, pretty much every day for the past couple of months, I thought I'll give you my long-term review or kind of long-term feedback. This is, of course, if you haven't seen this before, the EvoFox Fireblade gaming keyboard. It's one of the cheapest keyboards out there with RGB backlight and a bunch of other features like anti-ghosting keys. It's a very compelling option for about 899, and there's very few reasons why you shouldn't get this. Now, if you have seen the full review video that I have made a couple of months ago, I have mentioned the drawbacks that this thing has. It has mainly to do with the aesthetics of it. Like, it doesn't have the best quality of paint. It only has fixed color RGB lights. Like, these lights are not controllable. You can make them breathable by doing a couple of modes, but this LED is always green and this LED is always blue, so you can't change the colors. It has some drawbacks, but it's not bad for the price. However, after using it for a while, I did notice that there is just one major flaw, or at least in my case, it turned out to be a flaw, and that is the connector. There's nothing wrong with the keyboard in general. The typing experience is great, and the keyboard sounds is it's pretty awesome. Like, even though it's a membrane keyboard, it feels like a mechanical keyboard. But yeah, the connector, even though it looks very thick and very like strong, for some reason, ever since I started connecting this maybe 2 3 weeks ago, I'm getting this weird issue where the LEDs start blinking on and off, and the computer says USB device not detected. Now, I'm not a very rough user, I take care of my things, but I am switching this keyboard between three different devices. So I have two laptops and one PC, and I'm constantly connecting and disconnecting it from everywhere. So it is possible that it has gotten some wear and tear, but with this kind of protection on the tip, I wasn't expecting this to get damaged so soon. Like, it has been about 8 months, and to give you a context, I have been using it on a daily basis for the past 8 months, and I think in the past time I'm using it, I have only not used it for about 4 or 5 days. You know, those days where once in a while you decide to get out of the house and see if the world has ended or not. Yeah, those days. I haven't used on those days, but remaining all the days, including weekends, I have used it on a daily basis. And while I love the keyboard's experience and there's nothing wrong with the keyboard itself and the keys themselves, despite it not being a true mechanical keyboard, the connector has given me some problems now. Now, if I connect it all the way, the keyboard sometimes doesn't get detected, or it gets disconnected in between. Now, that is a major deal breaker for you gamers out there, because while in between a game, if this keyboard suddenly disconnects, then you could potentially lose the game. And trust me, there is nothing more frustrating than you losing the game because of some hardware malfunction. Like, that is the problem with these budget keyboards. Like, the reliability and the quality control will always be a question here. The reason why expensive stuff is so much more expensive is not because they're using some revolutionary feature. It's because the quality assurance will be that higher, meaning that they have tested their products a lot more than the budget brands before they send them out to the customers. But yeah, I didn't expect the connector to crap out so soon. Even though I'm switching between multiple devices, I thought this keyboard's connector would be pretty strong, because the cable is braided and it has some nylon braiding to it. So I was surprised that just by switching between 2 to 3 devices, which is a very common use case, right? This is a USB keyboard. You are supposed to switch between devices easily, and just by doing that, the cable is damaged now. Of course, the problem is a little bit easier to fix. You just have to attach some kind of a cable protector like this one, for example. So it's not very expensive, and these are the kind of things you kind of have to expect with budget keyboard options like that. At first, I thought it's maybe my problem. Like, before I kind of opened this keyboard, it was fine, and I did open this keyboard to see what's inside. And the problem with this budget tech is that they are not really meant to be opened up. So I thought maybe I messed up something inside, and this is where the problem lies. But no, I was wrong. The connector is where the problem lies, and it's not something I did, in case you were wondering. And if you remember, the shipping box wasn't anything great. There was no protection on this or anything. They just threw in this keyboard with a water resistant material like some plastic, and it was just in a cardboard box. There was no foam or anything like that inside this, so there's no telling when the damage actually happened. And yeah, the keyboard, as you can see, it clearly works fine, but I have to be a little bit careful when I connect. I can't connect it all the way and expect it to work. I have to kind of disconnect it a little bit so that it's still making contact, but it's not all the way in. That's what she said. Man, I just noticed how dusty this keyboard is under this light. Oof. Well, that's proof that I've been using this keyboard for a long time. Look at all this dust. Now, since this is a membrane keyboard and not a mechanical one, the keys are not replaceable or removable, and they are not suspended by a eject mechanism or anything like that. So the common issue with membrane keyboards is that after a while, the keys start to sometimes get a little bit looser than they were originally. So the sound or the experience will alter a little bit. So after 8 months of primarily typing, I haven't been gaming on this a lot. I type on my keyboards anyway. So after 8 months of using it on pretty much a daily basis, how do the keys sound? Let's take a listen. So as you can clearly hear, the space bar has taken a toll. So because every single time you strike the space bar, so that does take somewhat of a hit, and it is making some squeaking sound, which has gotten a little bit more noticeable over time. It was there when I first unboxed the unit, and some of them, even in the comment section, mentioned that their unit also has a squeaking sound on the space bar. I haven't exactly found a way to fix it because, like I said, this is not a mechanical keyboard which you can remove and loop the connectors and plug it back in. But yeah, that's something you have to deal with budget tech. The challenge with any keyboard is to handle these longer keys. The shorter keys, anyway, they are only wide enough to fit your one finger, but these longer keys, no matter where you press, they have to function the same way. So they have to use something called stabilizers. And they're just like a metal bracket that kind of distribute the force evenly. So it's present under all the long keys like the shift key, enter key, space bar. It's present under everything. You probably have seen it from my keyboard cleaning guide that I have made in my other channel. But yeah, that stabilizer's quality basically depends on how good your keyboard is and how good the keycaps are. So on a membrane keyboard, since the keys are not removable, it becomes that much difficult to stabilize the bigger keys. That's why it kind of makes a squeaking sound sometimes, and that really can't be helped. It's not a manufacturer's fault, it's the keyboard's design's drawback. And yeah, there's one thing that I mentioned in my full review, that these height adjustment don't have rubber feet on them. Like this bottom section has a rubber feet which prevents it from sliding up and down. This doesn't have that for some reason, so that is still annoying. Like I mentioned on day one, I have to keep it on a mouse pad or something like that, a cloth material on the table, so it doesn't slide around. That's a pretty annoying issue. It shouldn't have happened actually. Just one layer of thin foam on this feet over here would have solved that problem. For some reason, they didn't include that. But yeah, a simple 50 rupees mouse mat that you usually buy anyway, that will solve the problem there. Even as someone who doesn't play a lot of games, I have to say that this Windows lock feature does come in very handy. Like the keys here are very easy to press accidentally. So when you're sometimes looking for the control key, I've accidentally pressed the Windows key many times and it's so annoying. So the fact that you can press function and Windows to lock the Windows function, meaning that it'll stop bringing up the search bar, or what do you call this, the start menu again. So that function is really useful. When you're typing something and you don't want the menu to show up every now and then due to accidental presses, you can just enable that. That works really well. Now, after 8 months of using and all these issues that I just mentioned, like the connector not working fine or all these things, do I still recommend this keyboard? Well, only if you're looking for a small form factor keyboard, then you should buy this. Only if you want a small form factor keyboard like I do. Like I hate that extra number key row that comes here. It's unnecessary thing. Like all the numbers are anyway, they are here, right? Why do you want an additional row over here? That's just so annoying. I don't really want that, and I hate that my laptop has that as well. I want the keyboard, like the typing area, to be main on the keyboard, and sure, the additional buttons are helpful, like the home and end button, page up, page down. They are useful buttons, but the additional number keys here, I don't need that. So a full form factor keyboard usually has those keys, and that's why I didn't want to like include that in my keyboard setup. So I avoided that and went with this. There aren't a lot of good 60% keyboards. Like this is 60% basically. So there aren't a lot of good 60% keyboards out there in the market, and I guess this is the closest I could get in the budget segment. There is an option from Ant Esports, but it's I think twice as expensive as this one. So there's that. There's a much better option from HP. The K500F is a way better keyboard than this, but it's a full form factor keyboard. So if you don't mind having a long keyboard on your desk, then yeah, you should definitely go for the HP K500F. It has a metal surface, the keys are better, and yeah, it's an overall better product than this. It's slightly more expensive. It's around 1200 rupees or something like that. I'll leave a link down there if you wanna check the latest pricing. But yeah, if you're like me who wants a RGB backlit keyboard, decent key travel, and again, small form factor, only then, yeah, consider checking this out. It doesn't have any of the other issues that the other budget keyboards are prone to. Like some people have complained the printing on the keys have erased off after a while. That hasn't happened here. The paint on the keys is really nice, and even after using it for a long time, even the EvoFox logo, nothing has really wiped off with the finger oil and sweat. So overall, all things considered, yeah, this keyboard is still pretty good value for money. I'm not sure what the latest pricing is. I'll check and again leave a link in the description if you wanna buy that for yourself. But yeah, this is one of the best small form factor keyboards out there that you can get. Sure, it doesn't have the best build quality, it doesn't have the best durability as I mentioned, but you heard how the keys sound, and it does give you a mechanical feeling, even though it's not an actual mechanical keyboard. So yeah, with that in mind, check this out and see if you like it. Let me know if you have any further questions in the comments down below, but that's it from me. That's my experience after using this Fireblade keyboard for 8 months now. With that said, until next time, clean your keyboard, take it easy, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.